let's fix this. There used to be a Honeywell thermostat here, one of those like bulb style thermostats you see in older homes. It's a mercury switch style thermostat. And as you can maybe make out, there's like a lot of raised paint around the perimeter where, multiple coats of paint went on over the years and kind of built up here, so it's a little bit unsightly. Plus, when the thermostat was removed, the paint and the paper flaked away. So there's a lot of ways you could repair this. You could scrape all this down, cover it with drywall tape. Basically, this is a fairly small hole, and mud it over. That would be fine. I think that would work perfectly well. You could put one of those patch things that you could buy at Home Depot over it and mud over that. That would also be fine. But what I'm going to try today is using a hole saw to drill this out and replacing the drywall with a patch that's basically the complement of that hole. I'll drill a piece of new drywall to match that and overlap with a square of paper. So I'll film that and show you how this repair is done. This repair is going to be a little bit easier because the drywall happens to be backed by some OSB looking stuff, some particle board or something there. So there might be an old patch here, like maybe a big section of drywall was replaced at some point in the past. This house is from 1959, so who knows? Or perhaps there's like something back there that OSB might be back there for some unknown reason for soundproofing or who knows what. But anyway, yeah, let's tackle this, and I'll film the steps and edit it together into a video. So I've got my hole saw here. It's a 3¼ inch hole saw. I have an inventory of these. And my plan here is to get the drill started and then go ahead and just get the top layer of drywall removed and not drill into that OSB too much or whatever that is back there. And to aid in this process, I'm going to actually spin the drill backward. So rather than cutting with the teeth, this kind of aggressive tooth profile or relatively aggressive tooth profile in this hole saw, I'm just going to go backwards because this is just drywall, it's just paper. So it doesn't really matter, right? I don't need any cutting action there. I just need to cut through the paper and make a shape through the soft gypsum underneath. So if I had a tripod, I would show you. I don't have a tripod though, so I'm just going to drill it out and come back after I'm done. So that's how that looks. The next step is going to be to make a patch. So I think this is like a firewall or something back there, a fire break. And there's the hole where the thermostat wire went down to the basement. It left a pretty clean edge. The paint did get ripped up a little bit, so I'm going to need to get a scraper and scrape this down so that the edge is smooth. But yeah, the patch will be pretty easy to make, and I'll show you that. So here's a piece of drywall that I'm going to use for the patch. This is from a bathroom renovation, so it's the mold resistant kind of drywall, but it will work just fine in this application, 1/2 inch thick. Anyway, so this is the front face. So this is going to be showing out from the wall, and we're going to go through the back, and I'm actually going to use the drill to basically make a form, and I'm going to do it actually over here in the corner probably. It doesn't need to be that large. I'm going to use the drill to make a form and then trim the rest of it out with a knife. So I'll show you the process, or I'll show you the finished product when I'm done. It's pretty simple. So I basically just used the drill, the hole saw, to create this form, stripped away some of the backing of the drywall, and now I'm just going to get rid of all the gypsum back here and just leave the patch. So it's just going to be the paper and that center section. So ideally, you wouldn't mar the surface, but it doesn't really matter. And what we're going to be left with is just the paper. Try not to crack this away from the front of the paper. And we'll have a nice patch. So I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Here's what we're left with. You've got your front and your back. This doesn't really matter. It's very thin. Clean some of that off there. And this is going to go right in that hole and be mudded in, basically. And then we're going to wait 24 hours. So let's go do that. So here we are after the second coat of mud. It's had a chance to dry for about 24 hours. You could probably barely see anything of interest there. The key is to keep the coats thin. Don't slap on too much. Now in this coat, there's a little bit of structure there that you can see. You wouldn't want to just paint over that. So there's a third coat I'm going to put on. But these are really thin coats, right? So I can't feel the edge of that paper right now. You can sort of see it. I could probably actually paint over this with just a little bit of sanding, but I'm going to put a third coat on because why not? And yeah, I'll show you the finished result. It should look pretty good. So here's the third day and the third coat of mud. You can tell it's feathered in pretty well. It's very, very smooth. There's nothing for the camera to even really focus on except for like these edges in my finger. Yeah, very smooth. The key is to go thin with the coats, sand down the edges to keep feathering it in, and we're good to go. I'm good to paint this. So if you didn't know what the paint color was, there's a device you can buy, a smartphone Bluetooth peripheral that will actually measure the color of the surface. Then you could take that to a paint store and they'll mix it up for you to match. That might be something that's even necessary on a wall that's faded somewhat, because even if you have the original coat or the original can of paint, it might not match very well, right? You might want to take it to a store with one of those, either take a paint chip or use one of those devices to get a good match. Your smartphone, I'm sure there's applications where you could do it, but they're probably going to kind of stink because the smartphone color profile might not match exactly to what your eye will perceive, so you get some kind of off thing. But anyway, those devices that you could buy like through Amazon or something are like under $100, and they do a pretty decent job. So in this case, though, I actually have the paint can, and I can just paint this guy, and it's probably going to look pretty good. Another trick you can do is feather the paint back into the original or the old areas of the wall. So, you know, you're going to get a nice coat over here, but then taper it out with a roller, kind of a dry roller, so that it smooths out into something that's harder to pick up with your unaided eye, right? The color difference won't be so obvious. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to paint this. I probably won't bother showing that on camera because it's not going to look like anything at all. The lighting in here isn't that great, and there'd be nothing to show anyway. This is a good patch, indistinguishable from the wall, the original wall, and yeah, I'm happy with it. So that works. It does take a long time. It's you know, you have to wait 24 hours between the coats, but the results are pretty good. And the key is thin coats, 3 coats, right? So each coat in this case is much, much less than a 1/16 of an inch thick. You know, you're getting down to like human hair thickness or less. And the end result is good. This is very sturdy. You can't even tell where the hole was anymore. So I'm happy with that, and I hope that helps you out a little bit. Have a good day.